Millionaire COS, unexpected forever. Nathaniel Cross, a billionaire CEO, had mastered every deal, crushed every rival, and built an empire from scratch. But there was one thing he couldn't control: his family's relentless demand that he finally settle down. His sister's wedding loomed ahead, and everyone expected him to arrive with his wife. Only problem: Nathaniel didn't have one. His solution shocked even him. He would hire a fake wife, just long enough to silence gossip. His assistant compiled a list of women models, actresses, socialites willing to play the role. Nathaniel glanced through their profiles with growing disinterest. They were beautiful, yes, but empty, polished masks. He needed someone convincing, someone believable. Then his eyes froze on one name: Claire Adams. The name pulled him back years, to stolen kisses and whispered dreams. The girl he once loved before ambition tore them apart. His chest tightened at the memory. Claire had been everything Nathaniel wasn't. Warm, kind, grounded. She never cared about wealth, only truth. He had walked away from her once, choosing his empire over their love. Seeing her name again felt like fate mocking him. Could he really hire the woman whose heart he had broken? His mind screamed no, but his gut knew only Claire could make the act real. And deep down, he wanted her back in his world, even briefly. Claire nearly laughed when she read his message. Be my wife. Just for a weekend. It felt like a cruel joke. Years ago, Nathaniel had crushed her heart without hesitation. Now, suddenly, he needed her. She almost deleted the message, but then she thought of her unpaid bills, the weight of responsibility, and the desperation for change. With bitterness in her heart and trembling hands, she typed a reply. Fine, but only for the wedding. Their reunion was awkward, thick with tension. Nathaniel waited in his penthouse, crisp suit, steel eyes, masking nerves. When Claire walked in, his composure cracked. She was more stunning than he remembered her presence, filling the room effortlessly. Claire, however, carried herself with icy distance. This is business, she reminded him coldly. Nathaniel forced a smile. Of course, just business. But deep down, he knew he wanted more. The fire between them never truly died. The deal was simple. Pretend to be Nathaniel's devoted wife during their wedding festivities. In return, she'd be paid handsomely. Claire set strict boundaries, no real affection, no blurring lines. Nathaniel agreed, though his heart whispered otherwise. As they rehearsed their story, memories of their past crept in. First dates, laughter, the kiss under the rain. Claire tried to stay focused, but every time his gaze lingered, the wall around her heart trembled slightly. The wedding weekend began. Nathaniel arrived hand in hand with Claire, and jaws dropped. She wasn't a glamorous socialite, yet she carried herself with elegance that silenced the room. Guests whispered, shocked that the ICCO had chosen someone so unexpected. Nathaniel watched proudly as Claire smiled politely, every bit convincing as his wife. Vivian, his ex, and the family's favorite, narrowed her eyes in fury. She had expected Nathaniel to come crawling back to her. Vivian cornered Nathaniel later that night. Really, Nathan? Her. She doesn't belong in our world. Nathaniel's jaw tightened. She belongs wherever I say she does. Vivian smirked, circling him like a vulture. You'll regret this. I could have been your perfect partner. Instead, you're parading her, But Nathaniel's eyes drifted to Claire across the room, laughing softly with his sister. Regret was the last thing he felt. He hadn't realized how much he'd missed that sound. As the days unfolded, the act blurred with reality. Nathaniel found himself holding her hand longer than necessary, leaning in closer during conversations, almost forgetting it was pretend. Claire fought to keep her guard up, reminding herself this was a job. But when he whispered small jokes only she could understand, when his hand rested gently at the small of her back, the walls she built began to crack. And that terrified her more than anything. On the eve of the wedding, Nathaniel and Claire walked alone through the gardens, fireflies flickering like sparks around them. Silence hung between them until Nathaniel finally asked, "Why did we let each other go, Claire?" Her throat tightened. "Because you chose your empire over me." He flinched, guilt flashing across his face. "It was the worst mistake of my life." Claire's heart raced, torn between the pain of the past and the truth in his voice. Claire crossed her arms, trying to appear unmoved. "Mistake or not, it doesn't change what you did." Nathaniel stepped closer, his voice low, almost pleading. "I know, but having you here reminds me what I lost, and I can't stop wanting it back." Her breath caught, though she forced a scoff. "Don't confuse business with longing, Nathaniel." Yet when he gently touched her hand, she didn't pull away. That terrified her more than his words. The wedding rehearsal the next day was chaos, yet Claire was the calm in it all. She helped the bride with details, charmed distant relatives, and carried herself with grace. Nathaniel watched, and though everyone believed she was truly his wife, more than that, he believed it himself. The way she fit into his family's world, the way his sister adored her, it all felt right. For the first time in years, Nathaniel wondered if fate offered him a second chance. Vivian, however, refused to give up. She cornered Claire in the dressing room. "Don't fool yourself. Nathaniel will never love you. You're just convenient right now." Claire held her ground. "If I'm just convenient, why are you so threatened?" Vivian's smiley faltered for a moment before she hissed. "He I tide of you. He always does." Claire walked away, shaken but unwilling to let Vivian see the cracks. Deep inside, though, the words pierced her fears. That evening, Nathaniel found Claire on the balcony, staring into the night sky. "Vivian said something, didn't she?" he asked quietly. Claire didn't answer at first. Then she whispered, "Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm just a stand-in until someone better comes along." Nathaniel's chest ached at her doubt. He stepped closer, his voice firm. "No, Claire, you're not a You're the only one I've ever wanted. Everyone else was just noise." The ceremony day arrived in a blur of music, flowers, and flashing cameras. Nathaniel played his part flawlessly, yet his attention never strayed from Claire. Each smile she gave, each laugh she shared, felt like sunlight in his cold world. Guests whispered that Nathaniel had finally softened, that his mysterious wife had transformed him. Claire heard the rumors too, but she reminded herself silently, "This isn't real." Still, her heart betrayed her, beating faster whenever he was near. During the wedding dance practice, Nathaniel held Claire close. Their eyes locked, breaths mingling. "You can't deny this," he murmured, his hand pressing lightly against her back. Claire's heart raced, but she shook her head. "This is pretend, Nathaniel." He leaned closer, his lips barely brushing her ear. Then why does it feel more real than anything else in my life? She shivered, unable to answer, because she felt it too. Vivian's anger boiled over. "During a toast," she boldly announced, "I think we deserve to know more about this so-called marriage." The room hushed. Claire froze, panic in her chest. Vivian smirked, savoring the attention. "How long have you two really been together?" "Funny how no one's ever seen her before." Gasps followed. Nathaniel's expression hardened, but before he could speak, Claire surprised everyone by stepping forward, her voice steady. She said, "Some love stories are meant to stay hidden until now." Claire turned away, overwhelmed. The memories of betrayal clashed with the undeniable pull she still felt for him. Could she trust him again? Could she risk her heart? Nathaniel placed a hand on his shoulder, his voice tender. "I'll wait as long as it takes. But know this, Claire have never stopped loving you." Tears welled in her eyes. For the first time in years, hope began to flicker in her heart, faint but undeniable. The following day, Claire tried to keep her distance, but Nathaniel's presence was magnetic. Every stolen glance, every accidental touch pulled her closer. During a quiet moment, Amelie, the bride and Nathaniel's sister, pulled Claire aside. "You make him happy," she said softly. "I've never seen my brother look at anyone the way he looks at you." Claire's heart twisted. She wasn't supposed to fall back into this. But Amelia's words planted dangerous hope. At the reception rehearsal, Nathaniel took Claire's hand for a dance. Guests watched, murmuring about their chemistry. Claire whispered, "They'll see through this." Nathaniel leaned in, his voice husky. "Let 'em. I don't care what they think anymore." His confession shook her. For a moment, it felt real, not an act. Not business, just them, two hearts beating in sync. When the music stopped, Claire stepped away quickly, afraid her emotions were spiraling out of control. Vivian grew desperate. She cornered Amelia, claiming Claire was a fraud, only hired to play wife. Amelia's eyes widened, but instead of believing Vivian, she laughed. "You'll say anything to get attention?" Nathaniel's finally happy, and it kills you, doesn't it? Humiliated, Vivian stormed off. Still, her jealousy festered like poison. She swore she would expose Claire, no matter the cost. That night, Nathaniel found Claire alone in the garden. Firelight from lanterns cast a warm glow on her face. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You fit here," he murmured. Claire's heart stuttered. "Nathaniel, stop making this harder." His gaze searched hers. "Harder for who? You or me?" Silence stretched. Claire wanted to walk away, but her body betrayed her. She leaned into his touch, if only for a second. The wedding day arrived in a whirlwind of flowers, cameras, and laughter. Claire looked breathtaking in her gown, and Nathaniel couldn't take his eyes off her. To the world, they were a perfect couple. To Claire, it was tortured. Every smile, every kiss on her hand chipped away at the walls she'd built. Guests whispered how lucky Nathaniel was. Claire heard it all, her chest aching, because she knew soon the charade would end. During the vows, Nathaniel caught Claire's eye across the aisle. His gaze held such intensity that she almost forgot where she was. She quickly looked away, but the damage was done. Her heart skipped wildly. Vivian, seated nearby, noticed everything. Fury burned inside her. If Nathaniel was falling for Claire again, she had to act fast. And she knew exactly how to strike, by revealing the truth at the worst possible moment. At the grand dinner, Vivian stood, glass in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice dripping with false sweetness, Isn't it strange how Nathaniel suddenly has a wife no one ever met before? Perhaps because she paused dramatically, eyes locked on Claire. She isn't his wife at all. Gasps filled the room. Claire froze, the room spinning. Nathaniel rose calmly, his eyes blazing, ready to strike back with the truth. Claire, she isn't his wife at all. Gasps filled the room. Claire froze, the room spinning. Nathaniel rose calmly, his eyes blazing, ready to strike back with the truth. Silence gripped the hall. Nathaniel walked to Claire, slipping his arm around her waist. His voice rang clear. Vivienne's right. Murmurs erupted. Claire's heart sunk until, he added. She isn't my wife yet, but she's the woman I love, the one I should never have let go. The crowd erupted in whispers, some shocked, others thrilled. Claire's breath caught. His words weren't scripted. This wasn't part of the deal. It was raw, unfiltered truth. Vivienne's glass shattered in her hand, fury boiling over. You're making a fool of yourself, Nathaniel. She'll ruin you. Nathaniel turned, his voice like ice. The only fool here is the one who doesn't understand what love is. Guests applauded, drowning Vivienne's protest. Claire stood trembling, overwhelmed by the intensity of it all. Part of her wanted to run, but another part deeper, stronger, wanted to believe every word he'd just said. After the cows settled, Nathaniel pulled Claire outside. The night air was cool, the stars endless above. I meant every word, he whispered. Claire's eyes brimmed with tears. Why now, Nathaniel? After all this time? His hands cupped her face gently. Because losing you once nearly destroyed me. I won't make that mistake again. Claire's heart ached with longing. For the first time, she allowed herself to hope. Maybe he truly had changed. Claire's emotions churned. You don't get it, Nathaniel. You can't just snap your fingers and fix the past. He shook his head. I'm not fixing the past. I'm building a future. With you. His voice cracked with honesty, and it disarmed her. Claire looked away, afraid her tears would betray her. Deep inside, though, she wanted to believe him more than she dared admit. Inside the ballroom, the music swelled, guests danced and laughter echoed. But on the balcony, time stood still. Nathaniel reached for her hand. She didn't pull back. Give me a chance, Claire, he whispered. One chance to prove I'm not the man who left you. Her lips parted, 1,000 reasons to say no on her tongue. Yet her heart screamed yes. Suddenly, Amelia appeared, her face glowing with happiness. You two, she teased, look more in love than the bride and groom. Claire flushed, pulling her hand back quickly. Nathaniel only smiled, unashamed. Maybe that's because we are, he said softly. Amelia winked knowingly before leaving them alone again. Claire's heart, Rice-Tistaño, wasn't just playing a part anymore. He was declaring war on her doubts. That night, Claire couldn't sleep. Memories of their past clashed with the reality before her eyes. He had broken her once. Could she risk it again? And yet, when she closed her eyes, all she saw was his face, his words, his touch. She hated how much she still loved him. With a sigh, she whispered into the darkness, Don't let me regret this, Nathaniel. The next morning, Vivienne made her final move. She approached Claire privately, shoving a stack of old newspaper clippings into her hands. This is who Nathaniel is. Ruthless. Cold. He doesn't love anyone but himself. Claire's hands trembled as she skimmed the headlines' business scandals, broken partnerships, a man consumed by power. Vivian smirked. He'll use you too. Just wait. Then she walked away, leaving Claire drowning in doubt again. When Nathaniel found Claire later, she was distant. Maybe this was a mistake, she murmured. His chest tightened. What did Vivian say? Claire handed him the papers. He scanned them, jaw clenching. She twisted anything to make me look like a monster. His voice softened as he met her eyes. Claire, I've been ruthless in business, yes, but I've never stopped loving you. That's the one thing Vivian can't rewrite. The ceremony began, vows echoing through the hall. Nathaniel stood proudly beside his sister as she married the love of her life. Claire watched, tears in her eyes, not just for the bride and groom, but for herself. She realized she still longed for that kind of love, the kind that lasted. And when Nathaniel's gaze found hers across the aisle, filled with a promise she could almost touch, her heart whispered what her mind still denied. After the ceremony, Nathaniel pulled Claire aside. I don't want this to end. When the wedding does, be with me for real. Claire's breath caught. You don't know what you're asking, he smiled faintly. I know exactly what I'm asking. To spend the rest of my life proving to you that I've changed. Her tears fell freely. It was everything she'd wanted to hear and everything she feared. Vivian, desperate and cornered, interrupted them again. Don't believe him, Claire. He'll ruin you like he ruins everyone. Nathaniel stepped forward, his voice ice. Enough, Vivian. You don't get to decide my life or hers. Leave. His words rang with finality, a door closing forever. Vivian, defeated, stormed out, her plan destroyed. Claire stared at him, stunned by his defense. Slowly, she realized this wasn't the cold Nathaniel she once knew. Later, under the glow of lanterns, Nathaniel confessed quietly, You're the only thing missing in my life, Claire. Everything else, power, success, felt empty without you. Claire's heart cracked open. She whispered, trembling, If I give you my heart again, don't break it. He pressed his forehead to hers, his voice steady. Never again. And for the first time, she believed him. The wedding reception was in full swing, but Nathaniel and Claire slipped outside, away from the noise. The night air was cool, filled with laughter from inside. Nathaniel took her hands. I don't care if the world doubts us. All I need is you. Claire's chest tightened. For the first time in years, Safe felt safe, like maybe, just maybe, her broken heart had finally found its home again. They danced under the stars, no music but their own breathing, their own racing hearts. Claire rested her head against his chest, listening to its steady rhythm. Do you realize what we're doing? She whispered. We're risking everything. Nathaniel kissed her hair. No, Claire, we're finally choosing everything that matters. Her tears fell, but this time they were tears of hope, not pain. Amelia spotted them from a distance, smiling knowingly. Her brother had spent years chasing power, but tonight she saw a different man, a man who finally understood love. She approached them, teasing. You two are stealing the spotlight. Claire blushed, but Nathaniel didn't let go. Then let them watch, he said. His boldness left Claire breathless, her doubts dissolving like smoke. Later, Nathaniel led Claire back inside. Their fingers entwined, guests whispered, eyes wide, as they saw the CEO, usually so cold, smiling like a man reborn. Even those who once doubted their connection couldn't deny what they saw. Something real, undeniable. Vivienne was gone, her poison silenced, and in its place bloomed something stronger love that refused to be hidden. As the night ended, Nathaniel walked Claire to her cot. She paused, searching his eyes. "What happens after this? After the wedding's over?" He smiled softly. "That's when our real story begins." She hesitated only a moment before leaning in, pressing her lips to his. It wasn't a kiss of pretense or nostalgia. It was a promise won. They both intended to keep. Days turned into weeks, and the fake marriage story became a real love story. Nathaniel introduced Claire into his world, not as an assistant or a hired actress, but as his partner. Board members gossiped, tabloids speculated, but he didn't care. For once, his empire didn't feel like a prison, it felt like a kingdom he wanted to share. Claire, too, found herself changing. The woman who once feared his world now stood tall beside him. No longer the girl left behind, but a woman who had reclaimed her strength. Together, they faced criticism, jealousy, and envy, but always hand in hand. And the more they faced, the stronger their bond grew, forged in both pain and love. Nathaniel surprised her one evening. He took her back to the same rooftop where he had once asked her to be his fake wife. Only this time he knelt with a real ring in his hand. "Claire Adams," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "Not for sure." "Not for Ime. Will you marry me for real?" Tears streamed down her cheeks as she laughed and cried at once. "Yes, Nathaniel, 1,000 times yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger, his hands trembling. The world below them sparkled with city lights, but none of it mattered. The only light that mattered was in each other's eyes. Their fake marriage had become the truest love of all. Their story became a legend, whispered in high society, not of power or wealth, but of redemption and love found again. Nathaniel had everything: money, influence, success, yet the greatest treasure he ever claimed was Claire, the woman he could never forget. And as they walked into their future together, their love was no longer pretend. It was forever.